Okay, this is at Jake's place. This is Ron Simon's tribute for the Rose Float. Today is August 20th, 2016. Yeah, 2016. And people are starting to show up. Butch Lindley's here. Ochoa's here. Good people are here. It's supposed to be 67 show up total, so we'll see. We got a great caterer, and it should be kind of fun. Whoop, check this out. Let's go. What is that? Take a look at this. There's a new rose floater coming on right now. Look at that. Okay. That's the memory book. There's the guy.
Hey, Mike. Hey, what? Good. How are you?
Here's a couple of the old. Here's a couple of the old timers. Here's a couple of the old timers. What the hell? Look at this.
I'm doing good, buddy. Good to see you.
We're here at Jake's place.
Hey, Butch, get in.
Yeah, this is a movie. Butcher, get in there. Get in there, Greg.
I'm not
Greg,
the right
no, yeah, you are.
I'll
Shut
take
up.
the picture.
Oh, you, well, I don't. It's a movie.
It's a movie?
Just point in the right direction.
You want a movie of this?
Make sure you get the whole turkey feather.
All right, I got to back up, man. You guys got wider.
Who got white? Lily, welcome. Hello, Butch. How you been?
Here we go. One, two. Don't push anything?
Video. You're taking a video right now.
All right.
Okay.
You want to say something?
Yeah, no, that's it. I want to make it now so you can take a picture. Hang on. Here he comes. Woo! Who is that? Who is that man? Where'd he come from?
I'm surprised any of you are here with all those wineries on the way. How many of you stopped at the wineries coming up here? Yeah. All right. God darn.
Well, Ron, we're glad to meet you. It's a surprise party.
Woo! Yeah, he's trying for a big surprise. All right, yeah. Hey, Ron, you got a nice surprise. Good. Long time.
Give him a hug, Janetta. All right. Face the camera, Simons, and give her a hug. Let's get dog. Hey.
Finally, now see.
Can we take the sign off?
I love the sign.
I know, you look good up there, but I'm coming up.
Michelle, can you turn around for a quick picture? Yeah, thank you for not taking my butt.
I got your butt, Michelle.
Come on!
Yeah, what's funny?
It's called paparazzi. There's some oldies and some babies.
And I'm overwhelmed that you have to think that you're going to have to drive back on that road to get out of here.
For your information, the fire is about a half mile just down the road here. The good news is that it actually is going the other way. But I am truly just blessed to see so many of you here that are still living. And it's really quite an institution. You know, I've been telling my good friend Bob Pettis and Bill Jacobson and Larry, I've been writing a book on my memories, actually my student, let's say, activities while I was at Cal Poly during my student years. I haven't, the last chapter I'm going to do, I've got about 17 chapters that I've finished. The last one I'm going to do is going to be the Rose Float chapter, and it'll probably be the size of all 17 of these other chapters. But it does just have so many memories from the time that I got there. Someone was asking me the other day, well, when do you first remember Rose Float? Rose Float was the very first thing that ever happened to me at Cal Poly when I got there in the fall of '59. In those days, you had to show up about a week early to register. It wasn't like it is today. They used to have, you old guys remember, they had all the cards up in the old science building with the slots in there. But anyway, I was in the dorms. I lived up on the Voorhees campus, and my first night there, I was kind of sitting around saying, gee, don't look stupid, don't look scared, don't look anything. And one of the guys in the dorm came up, his name's Jack Dragovich. Jack didn't have to be here, is he? Okay, no. So I can tell his story. I'm just going to make sure if he's not here, I can just make it up as I go along. And Jack was kind of chairing this operation, and he came to me and said, how would you like to go attend a meeting down on the main campus on Kellogg tonight about Cal Poly building a Rose Parade float? And my response was, Cal Poly has a Rose Parade float? I mean, I've seen many Rose Parades, but honestly, it didn't, register up here that Cal Poly had this float. So I went down there and I met in what was called the old duplex, which is that little tile building just, I guess, south of the business building. And then it was the student activities office, and Henry House was in there. He was the advisor in those days. Eventually became the dean of students later on. But there was about 4 people in there, and they had a little drawing they laid out in front. And I looked at that and I said, gee, this looks like a neat thing. And that was it from then on. It was just bangity, 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 bang, all the way until I finally retired in 2012. But it was quite an experience. And look at all of you, look at the family, the great opportunities we've had to get to know each other, sometimes more than we wanted to. But, you just have to think, how many other opportunities are like this? And we tell all the new students, Janetta, don't we, that start this program, this is going to be your best experience probably, maybe of your life. And you're going to meet people here that you'd otherwise never meet. And that's probably a good thing. But anyway, it's just one of those things. It's an institution of itself. And again, I'm overwhelmed that you all would come out here for this. Of course, I always say, hold one of these without any food and see who shows up. And, that's the real test. But, if Bill says they're going to have a barbecue, it's going to be top of the line barbecue. Bill, did you kill that turkey? You have that feather in your hat there. He's got a lot of wild turkeys on his property. And we have a lot of tame ones inside, but he's got a lot of wild ones running around. But it's great. Let me not hold things up. I'm sure there's an agenda like eating, and you want to get underway with that. So I'm going to try to make the rounds, say hello to all of you. Try to look the way you were the last time I saw you. That's really helpful. And don't switch name tags. I mean, that's a chicken shit thing to do. And so just stay with it. God bless you all. Thanks so much for coming.
We don't know when, we don't know where. It just took us a little longer to get all the stars aligned, but we did it, and we're all here. So thank you everyone for making the drive up the hill and from wherever you came from. So basically the sequence of events is, hey, it's lunchtime. Again with the food. That's how I got people to come work on my house. Hey, Rose Floaters, come while we're having a work party, come for food. So yeah, that's an excellent draw. So we're gonna have lunch, and then after lunch we're gonna have a brief little program, and then it's social hour until Bill kicks us out. So there you go. So I think we're just setting up food. So feel free to eat, drink, and give Ron a bad time.
As usual.
As usual.
Yeah.
And now he goes, you better go see your friend Dean House. Dean House said to me, oh, Ron Simon sent you here? And then he said to me, you have friends, don't you? And he sent me to see Tom Yoshikawa. And I had to challenge a class in Tom's retail nursery management. I had a week to study the book, and then I had to challenge the final to pass and to graduate after 5 years. My mother is grateful. Thank you very much for that. And my career is, grateful today because I'm there. So thank you very much. See, it wasn't even Roseland help that you provided. It was graduation. Definitely.
So with Ron, by the 80s, which is what I kind of represent, he had been already a successful student leader, and he had already started to make a transition and was fully on board as now an alumni leader, and then an advisor to the club, and a person that, for a lot of us, helped kind of lay that foundation that's helped make the program successful. During the 80s, we had a lot of push for innovation. We had a lot of push around publicity. It was amazing what Ron was able to get us into, whether it was into some of the magazines, whether it was KTLA coming down to the lab. He was always kind of getting us that extra push to say, hey, we've got something special here. And in that something special, it kind of raised our bar a lot. And so I know, like, for a lot of the folks, at least from my time frame, we may have come in as immature freshmen, but as we went through the program and through Ron's mentoring and molding, we became leaders not only of that program and advocates of that program, but a lot of us have gone out into industry with that same mentality that he kind of instilled in us, that we could do it, that we can continue to go out and make a difference. And I think that's the biggest thing, if anything, Ron leaves as a legacy, is that belief that this program makes a difference in us, and we can make a difference in society and wherever we end up in our careers, because we've gone through this program, because we've gone through that mentorship. So that's kind of where I see with the program. And then, was there someone from the 70s, I think, that wanted to come up? 60s, you guys ready? You sure? We can lay 6 more this time. 60s, you ready? All right.
I read fast, so if you're slow in mind, you may have trouble keeping it. I wrote several press releases of things that may have happened, actually have been reported during the time that Ron and I were involved with the Rose Float. This is the first one. Press release. Ron Simon's Bob Pettis to Ramrod, Cal Poly's 1962 Rose Parade entry. Ron Simon and Bob Pettis have accepted the daunting task of producing Cal Poly's 1962 Tournament of Roses float. With little or no experience, no other committee members, and only a very small number of student funds to work with, these two Cal Poly crops majors have agreed to undertake the nearly impossible task of producing Cal Poly's entry in the annual New Year's Day Tournament of Roses Parade in Pasadena. Mr. Simons, when asked to comment about this new responsibility, was quick to say, "What? Me? No. I'm just the assistant to the chairman. If it doesn't go well, just remember it was Pettis who got us into this." Press release. Students working on Cal Poly's float are wondering if Ron Simons will stay motivated enough to complete the float. the chairman commented, it wasn't easy at first, but then we discovered that as soon as Ron was exposed to the scent of roses, he, well, just kind of went crazy. There's a picture here which you see in the memory book. Once he gets this in his mind, it's just amazing to watch. Of course, we had to keep some fresh roses around all the time, or he would just simply revert back to being a dirt farmer. Press release. Ron Simons, the assistant chairman of the 1962 Rose Float, commented on some of the new programs initiated this year to draw students to the float construction site. Quote, students are flocking to the construction site this year. We welcome everyone, especially the co-eds. I give each co-ed a big hug and then personally show them how to weld. They have become our best welders. The new Cal Poly Rose Float patches haven't hurt either. In a photo, Ron is shown with his back to the camera with Jack Jagovich, the previous committee chairman. Press release. Who will be selected to become Cal Poly's space traveler on the 1962 entry of the Rose Parade float? The float for the 1962 Rose Parade depicts a spinning satellite about to descend to the surface of a very happy moon. But who will be Cal Poly's space traveler? We asked committee chair Bob Pettis to let us in on the secret. We're keeping that under wraps until the parade starts, but it will be someone who embodies the spirit of Cal Poly's dreams made possible philosophy. And remember, it will take somebody who's really a bit crazy and an absolute show-off. Like, who else would want to ride in a spinning satellite for more than 5 hours to be seen by millions of people around the world? I can just tell you it'll take someone special. Press release. Ron Simons is Cal Poly's space traveler to the moon on the 1962 Rose Float. Cal Poly's 1962 Rose Parade entry wins first prize in the class for self-decorated entries. The Man on the Moon featured 3 co-eds from the Cal Poly campus and closely guarded space traveler Ron Simons. Commenting on how Ron was selected as the space traveler, a spokesman for the committee said, we had to give him a big shot at rose petal fragrance to get him into the spinning ball. Then we took away the ladder so he couldn't get out. He was stuck. The fragrance of roses did the trick. I'm sure he created a passion in Ron that will endure the rest of his life. From now on, whenever he smells rose flowers, he will want to build a Cal Poly Rose Float. No, you just can't beat the smell of those rose petals. Press release. Young Man's Fancy ushers in a new level of cooperation between the Pomona and San Luis Obispo campuses in 1963. Cal Poly's 1963 entry won first prize among self-decorated floats in this year's competition. Featured as a young man on the float was John Agee, an agronomy student from Cal Poly's San Luis Obispo campus. We made a major effort this year to bring the San Luis campus into the float building business, said Ron Simons, co-chairman of the Rose Float Committee. We wanted to share not only the building of the float on the Pomona campus, but also include San Luis students in the parade itself. This has strengthened the relationship between our 2 distant campuses. Ron Simons, thank you for these memories. Who's next?
I'm Don Harris, let's see, 75 through 83 maybe? I grew up with the parade. My father was a committee chairman with the tournament, so how could I not go to Cal Poly and how can I not get involved with this wonderful organization? My first meeting with Ron is I came in on the fall of '75. My father was, somehow or another, he got the trophy picture of for Cal Poly. And he had it at home, and he says, you know, we need to get this to the kids at Cal Poly. So he says, take it to school and take it up to the president Dr. Kramer and give it to his office, and they'll get it to the right person. I said, Jesus, I'm going to go to the principal's office already for the first. And so I took it into campus, and I went to my first class. I was carrying this picture around, and they were kind of looking at me funny. And I walked down the hill. I had ag classes, and I walked down the hill, and I walked into the A building, and walked upstairs to Dr. Kramer's office, and the secretary met me, and I said, I want to give this to Dr. Kramer to give to the Roosevelt people. And she goes, well, yeah, we'll take it, but I think you're giving it to the wrong person. And just about that time, Dr. Kramer comes out of his office, and he sees a picture, and he goes, oh, that's the trophy picture from the year before. And I said, yeah, my father's in the tournament, and he was told to give it to you. And he goes, no, wrong person. You want to go down the hallway and give it to this, go into Ron Simon's office and give it to him. He's in charge of Roosevelt. And I said, great, okay. So I walk down the hallway, walk into the secretary's office, and for his secretary's office, Janine, right? Janine. And Janine was there, and I said, introduced myself, and she goes, oh my God, we've been looking for this picture. We haven't, it was only about 4 or 5 months late, getting to him. But, so I presented to Ron, and I said, I've been involved with floats all my life. I decorated South Pasadena's float when I was in junior high school, and I drove floats professionally, and built floats professionally for Bent, and so told Ron this, and he goes, well, you got to come down this first Saturday, and meet. You got to meet up with one of the students out there, Paul Steele, and he'll set you, straight, and we'll get you started. And so I walk out to the lab, and on Saturday I'm proudly wearing my C.E. Benton Sons jacket, and everybody's going, oh my God, a professional builder. It's like, no. It's just like, but got involved with floats, and became construction chairman for the Elephant, and transportation chairman for the railroad handcar. And this is going to be my last little story. This was the worst move ever in history, I think, of Cal Poly. First of all, we had steel wheels. They were rolled wrong. For the longest time, probably 20 years or so, you would see these steel marks going all the way up South Campus, all the way up Temple, and then even down Colorado Boulevard. And we took off. It was when we were in there, we would have to wait to either a Sunday evening closest to Christmas, or the last possible date possible. And usually it was around the 22nd or so we would move. And so we started moving this thing, and we got it out to Arrow Highway, and there's a foundry out there real close to the 605. And we kept breaking wheels. And the spokes would break, and Ron would get out there, and Ron was welding these spokes, and we'd all take our turns welding these damn spokes. And finally, it was about, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we had gotten to Irwindale. And I said, something's got to happen here. In the police department, at that time, we had Cal Poly's PD escorting us. And they said, you guys got to do something here. And so we pulled it into this driveway, and it was a big foundry, and Ron and Joe Fotheringham went back to campus, and they said, we need to get a lowboy trailer. It's the only way we're going to get it. And at that time, we were decorating Alhambra at the foundry where they build locomotive engines for trains. So Ron and Joe found a donation, and they got a lowboy trailer. They used the tractor from school, and so that evening the lowboy came in, And we had convinced the foundry that we were parked in their parking lot to let us or let them come out with their Pettibone forklift, which would hold 25 tons. They picked up the float, put it on the lowboy, and off we went. Fantastic. We get into the foundry in Alhambra, and we were in the front bay, and not knowing, but we had to get it off the lowboy. So Ingenuity comes around, and gee, they have two enormous cranes. One of them was 25 tons, I think the other one was 15 tons or something. And so we said, we're gonna hotwire it and take the float off the trailer. Hey, we do what Cal Poly does. So we did. We lifted the float off, and at that time we had to take the wheels off because the wheels were way too wide, and so we had taken the wheels off, and we was sitting on 4 55-gallon drums. Well, about an hour later, here comes Downey, and Downey has to get behind us. So what do? We lift the float up, and Downey crawls underneath us, and they're all going, "You guys can't do this." But you know, Ron hadn't welded in probably 10 years, and he was out there that night just welding and welding and welding. And it took us just as long to get back from Pasadena to school. It took us 2 nights, and we were breaking wheels left and right. And but you know, you could appreciate Ron because he was out there getting his hands dirty. You know, we were spending 2 all-nighters, and then coming back, Ron arranged for us. We had class that morning, that next day, right on the first move, and Ron had arranged for all of us to miss our first class because we were all tired. And so he had gotten a hold of all of our instructors, and he arranged for it that we could miss our first class and not get dropped. And then, you know, that night we got to float back to Pomona. But, you know, Ron, thank you. You're wonderful. Dale. And I got one last thing I gotta say. There's probably the group from mid-70s, let's say 74, 75, all the way up to about 83, 84, 85 maybe. We have all remained extremely close friends. We go on trips together, we go on cruises together, and it's incredible how that camaraderie has lasted, and it's all because of this organization. You know, and Ron keeps saying, you know, it's pretty amazing how all of you guys have remained friends, and all the argument you have done during construction, but you've all remained very, very close friends. Some of us were best mans at each other's weddings and in each other's weddings, and you know, it's truly an incredible organization. And Ron, you should be proud of it because you're the one that kept this thing going.
Hi, I'm Dale Wong. I was from in Roosevelt from basically 78 to finally chairman in 82. One thing Don forgot to mention, though, is both nights going and coming from Pasadena or Alhambra, it was raining the whole time. So we're soaked and everything. So it was fun welding in the rain. My story about Ron is kind of interesting. Back, those of you who were before 80, you would understand and appreciate what was going through. Every time it rained at the lab, guess what happened? We all got wet, very wet. So in the somehow between 78 and 79, I became electronics chairman in 1979. Bobby Roderick was the chairman for Hard Rock. We decided to build a lab, a covered lab. And that summer, the small volunteer team decided to go ahead and build a new lab. No problem. He'd be electronics chairman. I go, I'll wire the new lab. Come up with a new idea. So as we're constructing the lab, of course, we learned how to drive the D6 bulldozer and a few other things. We kind of destroyed the old lab, knocking concrete into the lab walls and a bunch of other things. Part of the idea was getting a new wiring for the lab. I'm going, well, this is not going to be more powerful. The transformer head is very small. So we did some research, and Ron was involved with it, and Don worked at physical plant in those days, and Selden Kempton was the director of physical plant. We found a new transformer up at Fresno State. Arranged for Don to go up there and pick it up. We procured things Roosevelt way. We borrowed it. And so we built the whole new lab, took all summer long, and just before September, we decided that, okay, time to retire the new transformer. Because it was running at 4,000 volts, we're not allowed to do it as students. We cannot connect high voltage. So I said, okay, and electricians went ahead and hired a special company to come in and cut the wires down. And I said, which transformer is it? Oh, it's the one on the pole over there. Well, there's 3 of them. And I said, go, they cut it down, but you see the wires physically cut. So I told one of our girls who do the wiring with me, I said, go ahead and cut the old panel down. Her name was Sue Locke. And cut the first wire off the panel, no problem. Got the second wire off the panel, no problem. Got the third wire off, she touched the building, and the bolt cutters exploded. All she said was, Dale, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm going, what's going on? I can see it cut physically. And I don't understand, I'm confused. Panel's fired up. About that time, here comes a police car around the corner from the police department. You guys lost power over here? We don't have any power at the police station. So I'm going, great. So then we had to resolve what's going on. So Ron and Selden Kempton, they kind of messed with us and finally said, they got it all wired back, everything got counted in. They said, oh, by the way, here's the bill for reconnecting the power up. $50,000. I'm going, I don't have $50,000. It's got to come out of your budget. And we did a lot of donations in those days. And I worked at General Dynamics in Pomona. They donated a lot of equipment, which we ended up getting selling, made a lot of money. He goes, well, here's the bill. Okay, we can't cover this bill. And they stretched it out. Now it's the fall, we're building a float. And all of a sudden they come back and say, oh, we'll just cut it in half. And I'm like, we still don't have the money for that. And they milk it. I'm sweating the whole fall long. And finally comes into just before the banquet, they go, oh, by the way, we took care of the bill. It was a donation. And they didn't tell him he was milking us and putting stress on me the whole time. So he does have a funny side trying to put pressure on the students. Yeah. But also, later on after I became chairman, I was one who didn't have a lot of shyness to me in those days. I would go up to Ron and go, well, I can't type. I'm an engineer. We don't type real well. And so I went to Ron's office and go, hey, Ron, can I ask your secretary, was it Janine or Sharon in those days, if they could type some letters for me? Sure, no problem. Well, it turns out a lot of letters. All summer long, they're typing donation letters for me, requests, things like that. And it turns into Ron's secretary, the president's secretary, at the time was President Bounty, and everyone on the floor who could type, they would type letters for me. And he said, without Ron, they would have never said yes. So, Ron helped me through my year as chairman, all kind of helping everything. So, thank you, Ron.
I don't know if you figured it, but this should be an open mic, so anybody else that wants to follow me is more than welcome. And I didn't think I introduced myself. I'm Bob Pettis. Ron and he was my assistant chairman for the 1962 Man on the Moon float and my co-chairman for the 1963 float Young Man's Fancy. And Judy has something to say. Get in line, Judy. Sit over here. This is next. You're good. I have one. Oh, you're leaving? You're going to leave him here with us? One more press release. Ron Simons and other Rose Float alumni share stories. At a recent reunion of Rose Float alumni, Ron Simons, and there's a picture, Jack Dragovich, Richard Eastman, and Bob Pettis shared stories of the good old days, building floats at Cal Poly Pomona. Dragovich was overheard asking the big question of the night, how come Simons looks so much younger than the rest of us? That's easy, Eastman said. Ron spent all his life working at Cal Poly, which is low stress. No work, it's easy. Pettis added, well, it's because Simon's office overlooks the rose garden, and every day he gets to send the fragment of roses. You know what that does to him? Dragovich added, nah, it's the girls. The co-eds, the young co-eds, they all agreed that had to be the problem. That was what I was doing. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. I love your stories. We have ours, and we won't spend any more on the last one up. Go ahead.
I noticed you did that right after Judy left. About looking over the rose garden, the young co-eds. So Ron, here is a thank you So everybody's talking about Rose Float, but I want you to know that Ron Simons is a very kind, considerate man. And one of the nicest things he did for me. So it goes beyond. Ron was always beyond Rose Float. And he was, oh, I'm Lisa Jacobs. I was in Rose Float. I was looking at my watch.
Where are you from?
So I'm from California, but I live in Oklahoma. And I traveled out here. I heard about this and was like debated it, but I was super glad because I thought this would be an opportunity to see Ron and probably say thank you because I'm terrible at writing thank you notes. Ron Simons is a very kind, considerate man. He's way outside just the Rose Float, and I think that's why we're all here today, because his kindness and consideration. One of the nicest things he did for me, which is totally outside of Rose Float, is who's here participated in the baseball games, softball games that we've had? Anybody? So you can see by my graceful figure that I'm probably a very talented athlete. Not. And Ron actually captured a picture of me playing baseball. And one day at my parents' house, this picture of me hitting the ball and playing baseball arrived. And it was probably one of the most thoughtful, considerate things I've ever had. So I wanted to say thank you, Ron. P.S. I'm a terrible note writer. You would have gotten that about 30 years ago, but today will do. So I'm going to say thank you because I think that's part of why Rose Float is the way it is because you not only embrace just the float, but the people and encourage them. So thank you. And I hope I'm not the last one. Another news press release, please.
Richard Eastman has a story about Ron in the early days of floats. Come on, Richard. Yes, it's your turn. You can't sleep at night without getting the story off your chest, so let's go do it. This is an open mic. Does anybody else have comments that you'd like to? This is the time we do it. I'm sorry, here we go. Next up. Come on, Richard. Jake, everybody, let's get up in line over here. Come on, here we go. You're next.
Hi there, my name is Linda. I worked on floats from 76 to about 81 or 82. I graduated in 79, but I kept coming back because, as you know, Rose Float, I was part of that group, I guess. Rose Float was very important to me. It was where all my friends were, and definitely helped me get through college. But I was always, I still am, but I've always was known as an officious person. That means people that are offering help, whether it's wanted or not, and kind of whining and complaining and interfering and speaking up. So after I graduated in 79, Ron had become, I think at that point he had maybe just become part of the Alumni Affairs Office. Is that about right? And so I noticed when you graduate, they start sending you, hey, don't you want to join the Alumni Association? And I noticed they had other special alumni associations. And I said, Ron, why don't we have a Rose Float Alumni Association? I wanted to continue my involvement, and I'm sure I want to be a alumni of Cal Poly, but Rose Float was the important part to me. So, Ron, why don't we have an alumni association? Ron! I would see him every few weeks, so I'd say, Ron, and it's like he finally turned to me and said, Linda, stop running. So, I'm not sure how he rounded up Paul.
And apparently everyone else stepped backwards while I stood still, and I was standing, so I had stepped forward. So with that, I've been the Rose Float Alumni President since then, which I've very much enjoyed. I've enjoyed, getting to know everyone here, and thank you, Linda, and getting to know all the students as they come through, and then roping them in and making them into alumni, which is awesome. But the one thing I when I was thinking about it, what amongst all the other stories, what has Ron really kind of done for me? What I realized was, in sitting in the meetings with him, I'm like, at first I was like, he's still treating us like we're kids, telling us this and you're doing it wrong, and wait a minute, we're all adults here. But then when I thought about it, I realized, you know what? he's treating us the same all the way through the program. And he's treating us like, he's treating us like we're adults. He's telling us when we're doing things well, when we're doing it wrong, he's telling us we're doing it wrong. Why'd you do it that way? That's not the right way to do it. But what I realized, and in thinking about it, is he's treating us all like his children, in a good way, that we're his family. And what I also realized is I do that. I started after kind of picking up on this for a few years, as an alumnus who'd graduated. I was in my 30s at that point. I realized, I do this too. I do this with my coworkers. I do this with my colleagues. I call them my kids, and I treat them like that. If they're doing a good job, I tell them you're doing a great job. If you're not doing a good job, I tell you, you know what? Here's how we can do it better. And I realized a lot of that I picked up from Ron. And that was just pure osmosis from kind of learning, taking the way that he does things, and I kind of adjusted it. But I realized, you know what, in addition to the whole, I feel very strongly about the Learn by Doing program. I got way more out of Rose Float than I did out of the rest of my classes. What I realized is, by the time I graduated from college, I could run a business. We had a deadline, we had a budget. I realized this is what we did. That was, what I'm doing in work, this is easy. What we did in Float, wow, we all did it because that's what we did. But that was, for a bunch of 20-year-olds, we were insane. But we all learned so much. And what I realized is, and the other thing I realized and I've known is it comes from the top down. And Ron, really, all of this that we're talking about, all of this has come from Ron, from the top down. It's stuff that he did, that we've all learned, and we have taken and put out in our lives, in our work, in our families. So for that, Ron, I thank you. And with that, two things. One, dessert is served. And two, we have a memory book for Ron. So there's a bunch of pages, some pens. Write something nice for him. Or not nice, I don't care. Write something for Ron.